Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody's having a great day. Today's conversation is one that I think is going to be very entertaining. Swipe fatigue, dating fatigue. It is a real thing. I mean, listen, Gail, let's dive into this conversation. I've been excited since we actually decided on the topic because if you're single or have been single long enough, I think if you're newly single, you don't really feel it because you're new to the whole dating scene. But if you've been dating for a while, this is a true thing, a real true thing. Before, my name is Karen. I am your favorite virtual assistant. Today is another great topic. Welcome to Sunday Chat. So, Gail, who are you? Introduce yourself and let's get this conversation kicking, girl.
Hi, guys. It's great to be here for another Sunday chat. My name is Gail Withers, and I am the CEO of Envision Training Solutions out of the beautiful island of Barbados. And we train leaders to empower their teams with programs like customer service and leadership and team building. And we work together to help you design these training programs. And today, as Karen said, we are talking about swipe fatigue. I don't know how many people are tired of swiping right, but people laughed when they heard that we were talking about this, but it's important because things like
Yeah.
this, we are whole people. We don't just have a separate side of us in terms of a personal Dale or Karen and then the professional side that everybody sees. We are made up of lots of different puzzle pieces. And I know, and Karen knows lots of people who are struggling with their dating life.
Yes.
So, Karen, I'm going to get the ball rolling by asking you, how did you really come up with this fun topic? We had lots of other topics to talk about for Mental Health Awareness Month because it's May, but you wanted to talk about this. So lay it on me. Why do you think that this is an important topic? And by extension, why do you think people walking those dating streets may suffer from anxiety and burnout?
Because as a single individual myself who've been, dating and all, and dating could be something, especially now, right? Because you hear so many dating coaches, everybody have their own perception of dating. Call them, wait 5 hours to call them back. When they text you, don't call, show interest, don't show interest. It's so many different noises out there when it comes to dating. It can
Mm-hmm.
be confusing if you're trying to listen to everybody, right? And not be
Yeah.
authentic to yourself and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I chose this conversation, one, depending on where you are in the game of dating, if you're new to dating, this is good for somebody who's new to this journey, and something just to give them a little tips to get them started in this process. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're somebody who have been single for a while, you know, put your in the comments, share those for those people that either newly single to navigate this, right? But I think that dating is one of those things where you have to be first listen to yourself, because when you listen to too many voices, it gets confusing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And everybody's like I said, mentioned, everybody's a dating coach. Everybody have a how you should date. Is there a wrong and a right way to dating? It's so many concepts. It's
Mm-hmm.
confusing, overwhelming. That have to mess with your mental health. Like, oh my God, am I ever gonna get a man? Right? You know what I mean?
It is
It's
true. It
crazy.
is true. And some responses I got in my DMs were, from people who said, well, I'm not single. I am married, so I don't need this conversation. You might be
Yes.
married or you might be in a relationship,
Right.
but how many other people do you know who are single? Who
Yeah.
are struggling, or for them, they must find, Mr. Right, whoever
Right.
he is. But in trying to find Mr. Right, they're finding a lot of Mr. Wrong. So, how do you
Yes.
support those people? Especially somebody, I have a friend and she got divorced, and then, her thing was to replace her partner. She could not imagine life alone. And then, you're trying to date all these people, and I'm saying to myself, oh,
Yeah.
this is not gonna work, because sometimes you need to step back and find yourself first
Yes.
before you go out
Yes.
there and try to find somebody else. And then, as you and I were talking earlier, we have all of these other friends now. So you're single, but your parents and your friends are pressuring you. So when are you going to get married? When are you going to find
Mhm.
somebody? And if you're not a strong person, now you realize, oh shoot, my biological clock and all the other clocks are ticking. Find this person, you're stressed and you're laughing
Yeah.
because I know we had stories. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, for me, when I first started dating, I think it was more of the expectation that I put in the process of dating, right? Because
yes.
dating is a
Hmm.
process. You're collecting information on a person to see if that person aligns with you in your life. But the problem becomes a lot of us don't know ourselves, right? A lot
Hmm.
of us don't know what
Hmm.
we want. And then
Hmm.
we don't know, if you don't know what you want, how you know you what are you looking for? So you're
Hmm.
wasting, essentially. That's what I did. I wasted time, right? Because I didn't really know myself. I didn't know what I
Hmm.
wanted. And once I understood that, once I knew what my values were, and once I knew what I wanted, I think dating for me became more easier because why, Gail? I didn't put an expectation when I went on these dates.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
just a, I'm there presently, getting to know you, see we connect, vet this person as properly as I can to see if they align with my life, and then move forward. But I learned not to put no expectation. Allow things to naturally happen as far as the conversation. When you naturally gravitate to somebody naturally and when you
Hmm.
don't,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
when you find somebody when you both in sync with each other. It's one of
Yeah.
those things that nobody have to tell you. You naturally know within yourself.
Hmm. And you
So
also know when it's not gonna work. Like
yes.
one of the reasons I am not, and I'll tell you, I'm not a part of this dating game is because I do not have the time and the energy to find out fact from fiction. Are you telling me the
Yeah.
truth? Are you not telling me the truth? Do I have to hire a private investigator to find out what's going on in your life? No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. Some people are not themselves. Their representative is doing the talking and doing the representing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once find yourself knowing this person, you start to see, oh wow, this is not it, right?
It's like, OMG. I had a friend
Yeah.
and she was into this. We laugh and talk about the apps. And you have to go through so many profiles to try to find this person that may
Oh
align with
yeah.
you. And then when
Yeah.
you actually go out on a date, they're not anything like what they had, on their
Yeah,
profile.
yeah.
Somebody was saying,
I heard
his
that too.
picture showed he was so young, and then when he came, he was like 20 years
I
older
heard
than his
that too.
picture. Yeah.
I heard,
And then
yeah.
this other girl was saying, finally she gets on the date and he just broken up with somebody. He talks about this person for the
Hmm.
entire date. It's like it's scary out there, Karen. It is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
And it adds to the anxiety because if you're feeling pressure to find this person and you're going on all these dates and they're not working, it can add up. It can add up and it can
Yeah.
it can affect you and what you think, how you operate. And it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Gail. I totally agree with you. But for me, I have learned not to put in no expectation on a date with a person, right? Just talk to you, right?
So
Just
when
have
you
a
when you
conversation.
go on when you have you ever been on a blind date, Karen? So when you go on this blind
No,
date
I
and you
never
meet the
been.
person
No,
and you're like, OMG, this person is not 40, they're at least 60.
yeah, that's a misrepresentation representation now, But
And then you have to last a whole date until
Jesus
you can
Christ,
leave.
listen,
Sorry
I
for
have.
laughing. I've heard so
But
many
yeah,
stories.
no
I don't
worries.
know, if it's worth it
Somebody.
personally,
What about
but
Marcia made a good comment? What about? I have a friend who works in the court system. In the past, she done background checks on her dates. On her date. So,
mm.
have you? Would you do background check on a date? Let's talk about it. Is that something that you see yourself
Well, I
doing?
mean, that person had a contact in the court system. I don't have any contacts
Yeah.
anywhere. I would have to, like, get into my car and drive around and stalk you at night. And I don't have time
But
for
if you
that
had the connection, will you do it?
either. Honestly, I guess if the person and I were serious enough, and maybe we're talking marriage, and maybe there's something niggling, you don't ignore your gut feeling, is what I've been told.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my granny always had a saying: when you're looking for something, be careful if you find it, because
Hmm.
when you find it, what are you going to do with the information? So if this
Yeah.
person is telling you they're not married and then you find out they have a wife and children, well, yeah, you have a different decision
Right.
to make,
Hmm.
because realistically, it's a fact. Some males and some females are not upfront when you first meet them, and then you're investing this time and energy in a potential long-term relationship,
Yep.
and then you get jumped with this news. So
Yeah,
As
definitely.
I keep saying, out there can be scary. It can be
Yeah.
scary.
No, I agree. It could definitely be scary. It could definitely be, but I try not to. Like for me personally, I try not to go on it with a negative thought. Right now,
Hmm.
not mean does not mean that I'm naive to be like, oh, he could be a serial killer, but I'm
Yeah.
not. But I
Yeah.
don't go with that, right? But I don't allow myself to go with that thought because otherwise I would never date anybody.
Ah, correct. Correct. You would never date. You would never date.
Yeah, so I try not to go to it with that train of thought. I try to go in a positive route, go on a day, hey, see where we are. You- We have a little chat, try to get to know the person as a little, as much as I can,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
just take it from there and don't make no assumptions of any kind. And then because
Yeah.
true is true, the true person will show themselves, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
also
Just
about
don't
you.
push it. You're right.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
push
all
it.
about you paying attention because sometimes people say things and we don't pay attention, right? Maybe they might
Correct.
say something about the way they handled a certain situation,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Maybe the way they spoke to someone, and we don't tend to catch into those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the things when I say listen more than you talk.
Correct. I agree. I think that listening is key and watching. So you go to dinner. Does this person know how to use a knife and fork? Are they slurping through the drink? What are the little things that are gonna bother you? Did they tip? The waiter with
Yeah,
a nice tip, or are they
right,
stingy? Or
right. How did
they're
it?
little things
Yeah,
that you
I
pick up,
agree.
and especially from the conversation, you get to know their
Mm-hmm.
values and stuff. But as you said, it takes time. It
Yeah, like
is not gonna happen overnight unless you meet this person and you
right.
just know, well, really and truly, this is not gonna work. But then you meet
Yeah,
somebody else, and it
yeah,
takes time to get to know them.
right.
And I think that's it for me. The time it takes to get to know somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
then to get to know their friends and their
Right.
family. Then they have
Integrated.
to get to know your family. And 10 years later, we're still having conversations. By
you
then,
know,
I have more gray hair and I walk in with a stick.
right,
I don't know.
right. But not only that, how do they talk to the waiter? How do they?
Yes,
What if
how do
they?
you interact with
Right,
people?
like
Yes,
right, like what if they order us wrong? How do they handle those circumstances?
correct.
Because
Yeah,
that's a determining
yeah.
factor. How do they behave when things are not there? Doesn't go their
Mhm,
way.
mhm.
That's what I mean by paying attention to certain things. And sometimes I have always didn't. I have listen. I have missed red flags before, right? Laid it in my face and didn't pay. I wasn't paying attention. I missed them.
Mhm.
But now I try to be more pay attention to certain things. But
Yeah.
I try. For me, it's more like one. I have learned know more about who I am, and then go out. Like people who say things they're gonna the UPS man's gonna come and marry them and ask them for go out there, get to know people. Like right, you have to go out there, girl. It cannot only be online. I'm sorry, it cannot only be
Ah,
it cannot only be
I
the
was gonna
swipe.
say you
It cannot
probably
only
knew
be the
me
swipe.
in my other life because when I was first divorced, so I'm telling people, yeah, well, maybe I'd like to consider remarrying. And they're laughing because they're saying, well, the only person you're going to be marrying is the plumber when the problem, or the carpenter, maintenance person, because you don't go anywhere. So you're right. I
Yeah,
guess you have to go out
yeah,
and
you
be
have
open to
to.
people, and then Karen, I'm not even a people person, so I have issues.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have a
telling
lot of
you.
issues. I don't really want to get to know you.
I'm telling you, it's
Ah,
yeah.
if you had to describe your dating life, right? If your dating life was a movie, what would be the title?
Ooh, before I would say Titanic, but now before I would say Titanic, girl, but
Why
now
would you
it's
say that?
because man, like it was just too. It was just, not only that, to be honest, I didn't really know myself, right? This whole thing was like, girl, I missed all the red flags, and I didn't, when I realized when I didn't know myself, I just allowed everything. I just,
Hmm.
oh, I think
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
yeah,
He
yeah.
disrespected me, but he didn't really disrespect me, trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
But the more I understood what my wants are and more I understood about myself, it really allowed me to not to understand, okay, what questions to ask. Vet the person
Yeah,
as properly
yeah,
as you can.
yeah. Yeah.
What's really important to you. If family is important to you and friendships are important to you, right? Ask the
Mm-hmm.
person, do you have friends? How do you feel about your whoever you're with having male friends or female friends, depending on the sex? Because some people don't care for that. Oh, I don't want my lady to have no friends. Like, who the hell, like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, very
Some people,
possessive.
right?
Then
So
you can't go anywhere. Ah,
yeah,
Marcia
what's
has
wrong?
jokes. Marcia is saying, "What's wrong with dating someone from the trades? At least they have skills." Okay, Marcia, yes, I agree. I agree. But I think
Yeah,
the point was they felt I should go out if I really was gonna meet
yeah,
if I
go
really
out,
was gonna
girl,
meet somebody. Well, I
go
was telling somebody
out.
if my dating life was a movie, it would be like Men in Black because I'll be using a neuralizer at the end. Just forget about me. Just erase that memory. Moving on.
Uh, like not only that, I feel like sometimes I notice that sometimes women, because I have done that. Like even if I go out, I'm not very inviting. That also
Mhm.
matters, right? Even
Mhm.
like we talk,
Mhm.
the B face. I don't have to. I don't want LinkedIn to ban me now, but you know what I mean. The
Mhm.
stank face. The
Mhm.
don't say nothing to me face. Like
Correct. Correct.
that
You
face.
stay over there. I don't really want to know you. And you
Right.
don't really want to know me.
Right. Like realistically is if like think about it. If you was a opposite sex and you see a nice woman with a face like that, would you want to talk to them?
Mhm. Yeah, I do believe,
So
Karen, though, that, and I've told my son this. I think it's hard to be a male because
yeah.
males have to be the ones. Usually, I'm not saying
Mhm.
females don't do it, but males are the ones who have to. They tend to approach the females, and I
Yeah.
think the possibility of rejection for them is so much higher than for us. I mean, I
Yes.
will never. I can't ever see myself approaching anybody, but males have to do it.
Yeah.
And they have to find creative pickup lines and all kind of
Right.
stuff, and then
Yeah.
most of the time you say, that, no, that,
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with us
you
giving them a
know,
little help? Like give us
yeah. So
give a
that's why I said
smile.
dating is not only
Yeah.
hard for females. I'm sure it's
Yes.
harder for males as
Yes.
well. Because a lot of people are out there trying to find their perfect, as much as perfect goes, their
Yeah.
partner, their life partner. So yeah, it's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of
Yeah.
trial and error, for lack of a better way of
Yeah.
describing it. Um, so based on everything you've learned, Karen, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your dating life?
Right now?
Yeah.
Ooh, let's see. That's a good question. I would say right now it's a 6.
Okay, 6 is good. At least it's
Yeah.
better than 0.
I'll say right now it's a 6.
It's a
Yeah.
6. Okay, so
hmm
6. So 6 is good. Have
Yeah.
you um have you been so do you have any friends? I know we talked about friends who are struggling, they're on this dating game and they can't find anybody. Like, how do you support them? Like, do you share your personal experience, or do you say, listen, you know
Yeah.
don't rush it, don't push it? And do you say, do you know yourself? I think that was a big deal for me. Sometimes
hmm
when you get to be a certain age, you're not only dating, you're dating for either to find your husband or your wife, and sometimes you
hmm
are so in love and so infatuated that, as you said, you miss those red flags. And I know that was it for me. And then
Yeah.
you don't pay attention to the red flags until after you're married, and then it's too late, really,
hmm
by then, because you can't really change another person. But sometimes
Yeah.
you feel so pressured to find this person and do something
Right.
that you may get, married or
Yeah.
engaged even, and then you realize, oh crap.
Yes. And I think our job is not to change the other person. I
Mhm,
come to realize that. Like, listen. I've been noticing the habitual trying to change person. Okay, and
mhm,
I have
mhm,
learned that hands off. I
mhm,
am no longer trying to change anybody. I can only
mhm.
change myself, right?
You
And based
can.
right, and based on the way I live my life and based on the things that I do to better myself, two things are gonna happen. Either the person gonna step up or we just not gonna be compatible anymore.
Mhm.
Right? And when that happens, then you have to really to think to yourself, what am I gonna do here? Am I gonna continue this way or I'm gonna decide to move on? Not right. But I have learned that my goal is not to change anybody
Mhm.
because then as we both know, changing then doesn't work. Disappointment happens because now you mad because they didn't change the way you want them to change.
Yeah, it
So
is
that's
very
not my
true.
goal. That is not my goal to change anyone. My goal is to be myself and give me my perspective and the way, right, and who I am. And if somewhat of what I say might influence a person in a positive way, and then they decide to change themselves for their better and the better for what we're doing, then it works. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not my goal to change anybody, girl. I have tried it many times before, and
Doesn't
it
work.
does not
But
work.
but Karen, no, I will say it doesn't work long term. But you see, in the beginning, sometimes when you meet somebody, you're trying to be who they want you to be,
Yeah, yeah,
and you might do things
yeah, definitely.
because they're asking you to do things, but really and truly, that's not you.
Right.
And it creates a false sense of expectation that
Yeah.
you can't meet that expectation long term. But in the beginning, so Karen, you like wine, and I'm gonna drink the wine just because, oh, it's
Right.
Karen, and I'm not getting to know her, but really and truly, you don't like it, or
Yeah.
some food, or
Yeah.
you really don't like
Hmm.
going to the beach, or you don't like going to the park, but that's where Karen likes to go. So I'm gonna suck it
Yeah.
up and I'm gonna go with her. And then when we really get together, I'm gonna say, well, I never like going to the beach, so you're gonna go by
Yeah.
yourself. And then
Yeah.
you say, "Oh my God, why don't you just tell me?"
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that happens. That happened to me too. But I have learned that I have to be honest with myself, right? And also with them being honest with myself, I have to be open to new experiences. A little bit because I do would like to be somewhat interested in what the person is interested in. But I'm not gonna
Mhm.
do it every weekend if that's not my thing. I'm sorry, right? I support you. I try once a month, maybe twice a month, but don't ask
Mhm.
me to do it every weekend if that's
Not
their
every
thing to
weekend.
do, and I
It's
don't
not
care.
happening.
Right. We have to be able, I'm open to learning and understanding what it is you like, but at the same time, it's about respecting my things as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
about being yourself. Like, hey, this is not my thing. Like me, I don't like going to no woods because I have allergies. I have to take a bunch of allergies. I have
You
to
don't
take
like hiking?
them trees,
Like,
girl, them trees. So I don't like it because of that.
that is so funny.
I don't
But
like camping because my back is gonna
yeah,
hurt because of
yeah.
tent.
So that, but and you need to say that up front. So from the time
Right.
he talks about going camping, you're gonna be saying,
Right.
"Well, you know what?
I'm open to maybe trying it once a month just to bring a bunch of contact pills. But if
Yeah,
that's not my thing, then that's just not my thing.
yeah,
So it's about being able to meet each other in the middle because there's things I'm sure that I like the person might not be interested in, and I would
mhm,
like to for them to understand more of what that is, but
yeah,
also me
yeah,
respecting. Okay, that they don't. If I do it every weekend, I can't be mad because they don't want to do it with me every weekend. That's my thing. That's my
mhm,
joy. You know.
mhm, yeah,
And I think that's what a lot of us. I think we talked about this with Heather, didn't it? Just respecting
yes,
and allowing people to
mhm.
be individuals.
Yeah, yeah,
You
and
know,
not depending on them to make you happy. At the end of
that's
the
the
day,
that's the
you
key
are
word.
responsible for making yourself happy. You're
Hmm.
together, but there are things you're gonna want to do that they're not going to want to do, and vice versa, because they're individuals.
Yeah,
And you can try to meet in the middle, but just manage your expectation.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this leads us into a little bit about what we covered before in terms of tips. So I'm going to share some tips, and I want you to
Okay.
share some tips. Have Karen,
Okay.
I think one of the first things is to know yourself, know what you want.
We think
If you
so much
don't know,
alike.
if you don't know your values, and your mission and what you want for you, when you meet that person, it's going to be confusion. So you need
Hmm.
to know who you are, what you want for you, and then I guess what you would like your ideal partner to look like in terms, of values. I will say, to avoid that burnout and anxiety, which people can transfer on us, you need to set boundaries. You
Yes.
need to tell people where to stop. Like,
Hmm.
conversation is not the conversation. I'm doing my own thing. I'd appreciate if you would stop pressuring me to set
Right.
those boundaries, and including how many dates are you going to go on in terms of a boundary? Are you going on a date every day? Is it every
Yeah.
one
I don't
every week?
think. Yeah, I don't
Like,
think it's
like
gonna
what
be every
where's your
day.
boundary for yourself? Like,
Yeah.
where do you cut off and try to
Yeah.
step back, reevaluate, because you have to prioritize your mental health as well as
Yes.
your emotional wellness. So when you go into the date, and this is the first time you've met the person, but this is date number 304, and nothing is happening. It has to happen. It has to happen. It's not going to work, because you're too uptight already. You're forcing it.
Like when somebody's interested on you. I feel like as a person, like you will know when a man have interest, right? You will
Yes.
know when a man see you more serious as you guys go along because
Mm-hmm.
the conversation becomes from I to we, right?
Yeah.
That's when
Yeah.
you know the man is more seeing you more as somebody who's willing to be open and see more serious with you. But I think I have done that. Like I've been I focus on putting a label on it, right?
Hmm.
That I that's how come I miss so many things. But I have learned that just to enjoy the experience, don't put no labels right now, right? Because eventually we don't align. What's the point of the labels? We just don't align. We're wasting
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And that's a good point. That was going into my next thing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So be
Yeah,
honest and authentic. Listen, this really isn't working for me. And for example, it could be a scheduling thing. Maybe the person
yeah.
works every night, I work every day. It's hard to even connect. Or you're
Mhm.
just not feeling it. You realize you don't have that much in common, or your values are
Mhm.
different. There's nothing wrong with walking away and
Yes.
still being friends,
Yes.
but you need to be
Correct.
honest and
Right.
authentic instead of just dragging it on, dragging it on. You
Yeah.
feel sorry for the person, you don't know what to tell
Yeah.
them. They will get over it. They
Right.
will get over it. They're adults. They will,
Mhm.
they will get over it. And I think
Mhm.
the last tip I would share is take a break. You
Yeah.
don't have you
That's a
don't have
good
to be
one.
it forever. You can just take a break and
That's a good
do
one.
some breathing and be by yourself. I love being by myself. Do that. And I
Yeah,
don't
I agree. That's a good
there's
tip,
nothing
girl.
wrong with being single, but if you must have a partner, there's nothing wrong with that either. You just have to pace yourself
Hmm.
and see how it goes. And so, what other tips would you add, Karen?
Okay, for I would add is definitely as far as the values, know what kind of values you want in a man, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
What are those core values to you? But I will also
Mm-hmm.
add be that as well. Work on becoming those values that you want. Meaning, if
Ah,
I want
yes,
somebody who's understanding, and
you
damn well
have to be
I'm not
understanding.
understanding. What the hell? Right, let's be honest. A lot of us
Correct,
want a man
correct.
that's understanding, that's spiritual, but we are not those things,
Mm-hmm. That
right?
is
So
such a
I
good
think that we
point,
have to be
Karen.
realistic,
That is a mic
right?
drop right there.
Right,
That is so true. That is so
like
true.
I find that like how you want these things that you are not that. At least work towards those things, right? Make a list of those things, become
Yeah,
those things, and then
become those things.
the universe shall give you those things, right, within a
Yeah.
man. But then a second thing I would say, as far as expectations, sometimes we have a certain preference in a person. You want a man who's tall, handsome, with light blue eyes, but those characteristics in a man may be a
Hmm.
small guy. Where I'm just saying, the universe is God gives you things not the way we
Yeah.
always want them. So are you
I was
going
gonna say
to?
that, but you said it much better than me. You want tall, dark, and handsome. You want blue eyed. You want this. You want that, and then you meet this very
And he is
small
those things,
person,
yeah.
and they
And you like,
and
and you
they're
like,
not
hell
like how
no,
you
I don't
thought they
want
were.
to. Cause that's
Yeah, it is true. It is true. But
and
that person, that shorter person who may not necessarily be as handsome as you want them to be,
hmm.
they may be so into you and connected and
Yes,
intellectually y'all are
yes,
on the same level. And then,
yes.
do you really need tall, dark, and
And you
handsome?
kill right, and you kill your blessings because you're looking
Work
for
for you.
something. You're looking for something, and it's that, and the person who's
Now me,
that gave
I
to
will
you
have a problem
is
with that.
not
How can I want?
that.
How can I want? How can I
I
want
would
tall,
add,
dark, and handsome?
yeah.
And I'm sure, and I'm so short.
So I would definitely add that, and then go
Not
on
gonna work.
dates, have fun, enjoy. Don't be up there being so uptight. Okay, nobody like uptight. Like to me, girl, when I go on my first dates, I always say I don't want no sit down dinner. To me, it's boring.
Mm,
Honestly, I prefer
true.
first dates. Why? Because it's already anxiety on both ends, right?
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
now it's like we in an interview session. You here and I'm here. We go. It's anxiety. So I prefer for my first days, let's do something fun. Let's do bowling or do something more activity. So we engage in the nerves are down and we be able to actually have
Yeah.
a flowing conversation.
Mhm.
Because
I
they,
agree.
like you mentioned, just for as men, as women, as for men, dating is uncomfortable too.
Mhm.
So I enjoy more different. Not maybe the second day, but the first day, let's do something different. Let's go, play a pool, a miniature golf, or something, um, outside of the normal.
Mhm.
Just because the anxiety I know is there, right?
Mhm. As long as it doesn't involve camping,
Right. Yes.
because you don't
Exactly.
do woods
Exactly. Exactly.
or trees.
Exactly. So that's what I would add. Go dates, have fun, enjoy yourself. Ask
Yes.
questions. Pay attention, ask more, listen. Listen, you talk. okay?
Mhm.
And pay attention, because those things, and you will see based on how the person behave, how they talk to other people, how they convey. If they always cursing a lot, and they then you know
Mhm. Mhm.
if those are not, if you don't care for somebody who always is cursing like a sailor, then that's not your thing. And then the person, people like to show, like I said, representation of themselves, but they get excited about the topic, they get start cursing out the room. You be like, well, damn, what happened?
Yeah,
You was
yeah. Who
you
is
was
that person? Who is this person?
you
Who
were
are you?
just, so I say I will add that, and just don't put pressure on yourself for dates. And I think that a lot of us, I have done that too. And I have
Mhm.
learned just to go on a date, have a good time. Um, and if it doesn't work, like you mentioned, it's okay. It's not a big
Yeah,
deal. You
yeah.
move
Mhm.
on and keep meeting new people until eventually you'll bump into the right person, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I love that first date advice because I think the go-to for a first date is normally let's go to dinner, let's get something to eat.
Yeah,
But
it's
and
boring.
then it's not only boring, but you have two people in close proximity to each other, you know. But I like that first date, and I would add something that you've mentioned more than once. While you're listening and you're watching, note
Yeah.
the red flags. If you
Yes.
see red flags or you notice red flags, don't miss them. Always just be don't ignore them, you know.
Yes. You-
Um
Right. You don't have to be. You can tell the person, hey, I just think we just not aligned with each other, and we just want to talk from here on, out, and be okay with that.
yeah.
And if they ask you more, then you could disclose, but you don't
Hmm.
necessarily don't have to, because at the end of the day, if y'all don't align, like, what we wasting time for, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So I think like Marcia has a good point. Like
Yes.
she says she wants to date somebody who's fairly fit. Her first date would consist of walking or hiking.
See, that's
And
not a
that's a
good
good thing
point.
because now if you are a person who loves walking and hiking and getting out
Yes.
there and doing stuff, and this person only wants to sit at home on the couch and watch movies,
Right.
you know from right there that's gonna be an issue.
Yes.
And she also had a very interesting comment about a blind date
Let me see. Oh yeah, I wanted a blind date because I
that
was not like.
I don't know. So she went on a
That's
blind date because
horrible.
she wasn't light skinned. He dropped her
That's
off. She
horrible.
had to find her own way home.
I'm
Like
sorry. I'm sorry you experienced that, Marcia.
OMG. Yeah, I'm sorry she went through
Yeah.
that.
That's
And
his loss, honey. You know what I mean? Guys like that, we all have our preference, right? And I get that. But at the same time, the way you treat people, right, because they're not your preference, also says a lot about the person. And it
yeah,
doesn't
you don't
reflect
want to
it
be
on
with that
you.
person anyway. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
but to have to find your own way home. The person didn't even try to pretend.
Right.
Let me just get through the date, and then I don't have to
Have
call
a
her
good
back, or she
time.
doesn't have to call me back, or
Yeah, like, we all have a preference, and I'm okay with that. But to treat somebody like that because they're not your preference of skin complexion, that says a lot how shitty the person is. Excuse my
yeah,
language.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want LinkedIn to ban me, but that's just a mess up individual, and that's somebody you do not want to be dating anyway. So you
Hmm.
know what? As messed up as that is, Marcia, that might be a blessing.
I agree.
And
I
and
agree. It
that's
might be a blessing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
sad,
yeah. I
um,
know.
and unfortunate.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation today. I mean, it was a fun conversation. I just thought it was something different. We always speak about, it's mental health month, just to switch it up a little bit, something more fun and more flirty. And I know we all looking for love, right? Or at least some form of love, whether situationship, marriage, whatever that is.
Karen is always looking for love.
You
That's just out
gotta
there.
know
She's
that,
just always
right?
looking for love. It's like,
Like, I love love, and I'm not like, I enjoy love. I enjoy the process of meeting somebody who's genuine, right? But
hmm
but I also don't allow it to be zoned in. I enjoy experiences with people. And people that you date, you might be surprised. They might end up being a business partner. They might end up being give you new clients. You never know. Life is funny that way.
you never know.
You
You
never know
never know.
how that comes. So that's why I said the way you treat people matters, because you
Yes.
don't know who that person. This word is smaller than we think. You don't know who that
Hmm.
person might know.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
agree. So
So
yeah, it was a really great conversation. I was hesitant at first, and I'm saying, okay, why are we talking about
I
this?
know
But
God was like, "Why are we
yeah, I'm
talking
saying
about
like, okay, let's
this?"
find something else. Nobody's gonna want to hear us, but you know what? After
Yeah.
thinking about it, especially since it is Mental Health Awareness Month, we realize that, there are all of these little things that affect us
Yes.
and cause us anxiety and burnout. So let's talk about it. People
This is
think it's
one of
not a
us.
big deal, but for others, it is a big deal. So let's just bring it out in the open, make people aware.
Yeah,
Don't
this is one
forget
of the things.
our advice, set those boundaries, be honest and authentic. Don't forget to communicate, take those breaks. And as Karen said, have fun, crack jokes, laugh.
Yeah, be
If the
fun with
person does something
yourself.
silly or you say something silly, say, oh my goodness, ha ha ha. Life does not need to be that serious
Sure don't.
and that pressured, especially if
Hmm.
you're trying to find somebody to spend the rest of your life with.
Yes,
Do you
I
want
agree.
somebody who is uptight and serious and cannot laugh and find the humor
Hmm.
in stuff? That is
Yeah.
my criteria. You got to be able to laugh. I mean, I laugh at myself all the time. So you got to be able to laugh
Yeah.
at yourself, laugh
Yes,
at
ma'am.
me, not take life seriously. Of course, you should for certain things. But yeah, there is hope, people, for all of us out there walking
Yes.
those dating streets. Thank you for those who joined us today. We really appreciated your
Thank you so
comments,
much.
and
Yes.
we look forward to being with you next Sunday, this same time, this same space, with
There you
another interesting conversation.
topic.
See
Happy,
you.
happy Sunday,
Happy
guys.
Sunday. Bye.
Bye.